What self-compassion is not. Sourced from the Mindfulness Self-Compassion Workbook, a proven way to accept yourself, build inner strength, and thrive. Doesn't self-compassion just mean throwing a pity party for poor me? Many people fear self-compassion is really just a form of self-pity. In fact, self-compassion is an antidote to self-pity. While self-pity says, poor me, self-compassion recognizes that life is hard for everyone. Research shows that self-compassionate people are more likely to engage in perspective-taking rather than focusing on their own distress. They are also less likely to ruminate on how bad things are, which is one of the reasons self-compassionate people have better mental health. When we are self-compassionate, we remember that everyone suffers from time to time, common humanity, and we don't exaggerate the extent of our struggles. Mindfulness. Self-compassion is not a woe is me attitude. Self-compassion is for wimps. I have to be tough and strong to get through my life. Another big fear is that self-compassion will make us weak and vulnerable. In fact, self-compassion is a reliable source of inner strength that confers courage and enhances resilience when we're faced with difficulties. Research shows self-compassionate people are better able to cope with tough situations like divorce, trauma, or chronic pain. I need to think more about other people, not myself. Being self-compassionate is way too selfish and self-focused. Some worry that being self-compassionate, rather than just focusing on being compassionate to others, they will become self-centered or selfish. However, giving compassion to ourselves actually enables us to give more to others in relationships. Research shows self-compassionate people tend to be more caring and supportive in romantic relationships, are more likely to compromise in relationship conflicts, and are more compassionate and forgiving towards others. Self-compassion will make me lazy. I will probably just skip work whenever I feel like it and stay in bed eating chocolate chip cookies all day. Although many people fear that being self-compassionate means being self-indulgent, it's actually just the opposite. Compassion inclines us toward long-term health and well-being, not short-term pleasure. Research shows self-compassionate people engage in healthier behaviors like exercise, eating well, drinking less, and going to the doctor more regularly. If I'm compassionate to myself, I'll let myself get away with murder. I need to be hard on myself when I mess up to make sure I don't hurt other people. Another fear is that self-compassion is really a form of making excuses for bad behavior. Actually, self-compassion provides the safety needed to admit mistakes rather than needing to blame someone else for them. Research shows that self-compassionate people take greater personal responsibility for their actions and are more likely to apologize if they've offended someone. I will never get to where I want in life if I let up on my harsh self-criticism even for one moment. It's what drives me to succeed. Self-compassion is fine for some people, but I have high standards and goals I want to achieve in my life. The most common misgiving people have is that self-compassion might undermine their motivation to achieve. Most people believe self-criticism is an effective motivator. No, but it's not. Self-criticism tends to undermine self-confidence and leads to fear of failure. If we are self-compassionate, we will still be motivated to reach our goals, not because we're inadequate as we are, but because we want to reach our full potential. Research shows that self-compassionate people have high personal standards. They just don't beat themselves up when they fail. This means they are less afraid of failure and more likely to try again and to persist in their efforts after failing. Self-compassion is not self-esteem. Self-esteem is a positive evaluation of self-worth. Self-compassion isn't a judgment or an evaluation. Self-compassion is a way of relating to the ever-changing landscape of who we are with kindness and acceptance, especially when we fail and feel inadequate. Self-esteem requires feeling better than others. Self-compassion requires acknowledging that we are all imperfect. Self-esteem tends to be a fair-weathered friend. there for us when we succeed, but deserting us precisely when we need it the most, when we fail or make a fool of ourselves. Self-compassion is always there for us, a reliable source of support even when our worldly stock has crashed. It still hurts when our pride is dashed, but we can be kind to ourselves because it hurts. Compared with self-esteem, self-compassion is less contingent on the conditions like physical attractiveness or successful performance, and provides a more stable sense of self-worth over time. It is also linked to less social comparison and narcissism than self-esteem is. Exercise. How is self-esteem working for you? How do you feel when you receive the feedback that your performance is average in an area of life that you care about, such as work, parenting, friendship, or romance? How do you feel when someone is better at doing something you really care about? For example, achieving more at sales, baking tastier cookies for the school party, being a better basketball player, looking better in a swimsuit. How does it impact you when you fail at something you care about? Your teaching evaluations are poor, your kid says you're a horrible dad, you don't get asked out for a second date. Reflection. If you are like most people, you'll find that it doesn't feel okay to be average, that you don't like it when people outperform you, and that failure sucks. This is only human, but it's important to consider that these are all major limitations of self-esteem. Self-esteem causes us to constantly compare ourselves to others and means that our self-worth bounces up and down like a ping pong ball depending on our latest success or failure. When we notice that our need for high self-esteem is causing problems for us, it's time to practice a new way of relating to ourselves, with self-compassion.